Let me ask you something. Have you noticed it's harder to keep muscle as you age? Even if you're eating enough and staying active. You're not imagining it. After age 70, your body enters what we call an anabolic resistance state, which simply means your muscle tissue doesn't respond to food, exercise, or hormones the way it used to. You can eat protein, walk daily, even lift weights, and still struggle to build or maintain lean muscle. But here's the truth, it's not aging alone that causes this muscle loss. It's how your body's internal chemistry shifts, especially in the morning. See, your morning habits are either setting you up for muscle growth or quietly accelerating muscle breakdown. And this matters more than just looking toned. Muscle is your longevity organ. It controls your metabolism, it stabilizes blood sugar, it protects your bones and joints, and it's one of the strongest predictors of healthy aging, especially after 70. So today, we're going to fix that. In this video, I'll show you the 5 specific morning habits that rebuild muscle naturally, even after age 70. Using the power of functional medicine, hormonal balance, and nutrient timing. This is not about gimmicks or supplements. It's about working with your body's natural physiology, especially what happens with cortisol, insulin, and protein metabolism in the first few hours after waking up. We'll break it down like a whiteboard explainer. Simple, science-backed, and immediately actionable. Because here's what most people don't realize: your body's anabolic window, the time when you can actually build muscle, is widest in the morning. But only if you support it correctly. What the research shows is this: most older adults don't lose muscle because they aren't trying. They lose it because their internal timing is off. Too much morning cortisol, not enough muscle activating nutrients, no resistance stimulus early in the day, and often too much fasting or skipping protein when it matters most. Metabolic syndrome. Here's what we're going to cover in this video in the next sections. You'll learning the H1 morning hormone blocking your muscle growth and how to fix it. The critical protein timing window most people miss, why walking before breakfast changes how your muscles absorb nutrients, how to time your coffee, sun exposure, and hydration to switch on muscle building, one overlooked amino acid that rebuilds muscle, especially after 70 a 5-minute morning activation routine that turns on your anabolic switch. By the end of this video, you'll have a clear, science-backed morning plan that helps you rebuild muscle, boost metabolism, and support healthy aging naturally. If this sounds like the kind of grounded, empowering content you need more of, consider subscribing. I post weekly content that blends functional medicine, nutrition science, and metabolic health, always focused on real solutions. Alright, let's start with the first habit, the hidden morning hormone that's quietly blocking your ability to build muscle. Let's start with the most overlooked muscle blocker after age 70, cortisol. Cortisol is your body's main stress hormone. It's not bad. It plays a critical role in energy regulation, inflammation control, and waking you up in the morning. But like many hormones, it's all about timing and context. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Cortisol naturally rises in the early morning hours, peaking around 6 to 8 a.m. This is part of your circadian rhythm. It's how your body helps you wake up, get moving, and release stored energy like glucose into the bloodstream. But in people over 70, this cortisol response often becomes exaggerated and prolonged. Instead of a smooth curve, it becomes a spike. And that excess cortisol has a catabolic effect, meaning it breaks down muscle tissue. Let me explain this with a simple analogy. Imagine your muscle tissue is a house you're trying to renovate and maintain. Cortisol, in the wrong amounts, is like a demolition crew showing up every morning before the construction team arrives. So even if you eat protein and do resistance training later in the day, the damage may already be done. Why does this happen more with age? Because your body becomes more stress reactive as you get older. Your nervous system doesn't bounce back as easily. Your liver becomes slower to regulate blood sugar, meaning cortisol stays high longer. And your testosterone, estrogen, and growth hormone levels, which normally buffer the muscle breakdown, are significantly lower. So the first step in rebuilding muscle after 70 isn't a supplement or a workout. It's learning to flatten the cortisol spike in the morning. Here's how. Step 1G. Hydrate immediately upon waking. Dehydration magnifies cortisol. Your blood volume is already lower in the morning, and even mild dehydration signals your adrenal glands to produce more stress hormones. Protocol: within 15 minutes of waking, drink 12-16 ounces of water with a pinch of sea salt and a squeeze of lemon. The sodium helps retain fluid, and the lemon adds potassium and flavonoids that support the liver, your main cortisol metabolizing organ. Step 2G. Light movement before screens, before checking your phone or jumping into the day. Give your body a gentle, non-stress stimulus. Research shows that light movement within 30 minutes of waking helps regulate cortisol and reduce its muscle wasting effects. Protocol: try 10 minutes easy movement, a short walk, stretching, or light mobility work. Think of it as a cortisol buffer. You're telling your nervous system, we're safe, we're moving, and there's no threat here. Step 3G. Protein within 1 hour of waking. Here's where we shift gears from breaking down to building up. Cortisol's job is to raise blood sugar. But if you eat protein early, you counteract that signal. You reduce the need for cortisol to keep blood sugar stable, and you trigger muscle protein synthesis. What the research shows is that older adults need more protein per meal than younger people to stimulate muscle building, and timing matters. Protocol: aim for 30 grams of high-quality protein within an hour of waking. This could be eggs, a clean protein shake with added leucine, more on that soon, or a high-protein breakfast like Greek yogurt with seeds. Make sure it includes leucine, isoleucine, and valine, the key branched-chain amino acids that flip on your anabolic switch. Step 4G. Morning sunlight. Cortisol is regulated by your circadian rhythm, which is tightly linked to light exposure. When you get natural light in your eyes within 30 to 60 minutes of waking, it tells your brain the day has begun and helps normalize that cortisol curve. Protocol: get 5-10 minutes of direct sunlight exposure in the morning without sunglasses. Indirect light, if it's cloudy, is still helpful. This helps synchronize your internal clock, supporting better cortisol rhythm, deeper sleep later, and improved growth hormone release at night. When you stack these together, hydration, light movement, early protein, and sunlight, you're not just being healthy. You're literally rewiring your hormonal rhythm to favor muscle retention. Think of it like putting up a no demolition sign on your muscle tissue every morning. You're protecting the structure so that the rebuilding can actually begin. If this was helpful so far, hit that like button or consider subscribing. I post weekly science-backed content to help you rebuild strength, energy, and longevity using natural protocols. Here's something most people don't realize. Especially after age 70, it's not just about how much protein you eat. It's when you eat it. If you're eating the bulk of your protein at dinner, you're actually missing the window when your body is most capable of using it to rebuild muscle. Let me explain what's really going on inside your body. Your muscles are like a sponge, but they aren't always ready to absorb nutrients. They need a trigger. That trigger is called muscle protein synthesis, or MPS. It's the biological process that builds new muscle fibers. But in people over 70, that process becomes less responsive to protein unless it's delivered at the right time and in the right amount. We call this anabolic resistance. It means your muscles need a louder signal to respond, and that signal is strongest in the morning to midday window. Here's the analogy: think of your body like a construction site. The workers show up early in the day, they're ready to build. But if you don't deliver the building materials, protein, until dinner, you've missed the window. The site's shutting down. Nothing gets built. This is where timing matters more than ever. What the research shows, older adults need about 340 grams of protein per meal, spaced evenly throughout the day, to trigger MPS. But the first meal of the day is especially important. When you've been fasting overnight, your body is in a catabolic state, meaning it's breaking down tissue for energy. That includes muscle. Your cortisol is elevated. Your insulin sensitivity is just waking up. So that first hit of protein has a powerful anti-catabolic effect. It turns the tide. But here's the problem: many people over 70 either skip breakfast entirely, have only coffee or toast, or eat a low-protein meal like oatmeal with fruit. None of those meals are enough to activate muscle building. So even if you eat a high-protein dinner, your total daily muscle synthesis is already compromised. The morning protein protocol to trigger muscle building after age 70, your first meal should hit 3 key criteria. Contain 340 grams of protein, include leucine-rich sources. More on that in the next section. Be eaten within an hour of waking. Here are some examples. Saying option 1, 3 eggs, plus 1 scoop protein powder and water, almond milk, 0.30 fig protein. Option 2, 1 serving of Greek yogurt, 2% with 2 tablespoons hemp seeds, plus 1 scoop collagen, pp3 protein. Option 3G8. Smoothie with 1.5 scoops, plant-based proteins, 1 TBs, almond butter, unsweetened cocoa water, pu38 protein. These meals aren't just about satiety. They flip the metabolic switch from breakdown to repair. And here's the important part: spacing matters too. Avoid what's called protein skewing, where 10 comes at breakfast, 20 at lunch, and 50 egg at dinner. That pattern is inefficient for muscle building. You want to front load your day. 304 egg at breakfast, 340 DB at lunch, 2030 at dinner, depending on activity level. This even distribution keeps your muscle building machinery turned on throughout the day, rather than trying to play catch up at night. Don't rely solely on whey or collagen. Not all proteins are equal when it comes to muscle growth. Whey is great for leucine, but can spike insulin quickly. Collagen is popular but lacks the full spectrum of essential amino acids. What works best is a blended approach: real food eggs, yogurt, tofu, fish supplemental protein like whey isolate, or a plant baked with added BCAAs, add-ins like creatine or leucine powder, which we'll get to in the next section. Quick tipping: if your appetite is low in the morning, common in older adults, start with a protein shake. It's easier to digest, can be sipped slowly, and still delivers the signal your muscles need. Even just bananas, 5.5 scoops protein. Almond milk gives you 235 protein and helps flatten the cortisol curve, as we covered earlier. Bottom lining: the first few hours of your day set the tone for everything that follows. If you miss the morning protein window, you can't fully compensate for it later. But if you nail it, you create a powerful anabolic environment, naturally, without any risky supplements or medications. So far, we've talked about cortisol, timing, and total protein, but now we need to zoom in, because when it comes to rebuilding muscle after 70, there's one amino acid that acts like a key in the ignition, and that's leucine. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Leucine is one of the branched chain amino acids, but it's not just another building block. It's a metabolic trigger. Think of leucine like the foreman on a job site. You can have all the workers and materials in place, but nothing starts until the foreman gives the green light. That green light is the activation of a pathway called MTR, short for mechanistic target of rapamycin. MTR is like the control tower for muscle growth. When it's turned on, muscle protein synthesis kicks in. When it's off, your body stays in maintenance mode, or worse, breakdown, and leucine is one of the few nutrients that directly flips the switch. Why this matters even more after 70: as we age, our muscles become less sensitive to the usual protein signals. This is what's called anabolic resistance. Your body doesn't respond to small amounts of protein the way it used to. So even if you eat 15 or 20 grams of protein, your body might not start building muscle unless you hit the leucine threshold. Research suggests that in older adults, you need about 2 to 3 grams of leucine per meal to reliably activate muscle synthesis. To put that in perspective, one large egg, about 0.5 grams of leucine. A scoop of white protein isolate, around 2.5 grams. A foraged chicken breast, roughly 2.7 grams. So it's not just about eating some protein. You need to eat enough leucine-containing protein at once to flip the switch. And if you fall short, the signal doesn't go through, and your muscle building potential gets left on the table. Let's make this actionable. 11G, prioritize leucine, dense foods in the morning at your first meal. Focus on protein sources that are naturally high in leucine. Here are a few options. Why protein isolate: the 2 Easy's 5G5 spool least combo Hig Easy's combo to mixed cheese 3 eggs with cup cottage cheese, grass-fed beef or bison 40.5 Oz cooked gives you over 20.5 G leucine. Salmon or sardines, high quality protein plus omega-3s that support muscle repair. Temper tofu for plant-based eaters, higher in leucine than most legumes, especially if combined with quinoa or lentils. The key is to combine sources to hit that threshold. A meal with just a few eggs or oatmeal won't cut it, unless you fortify with something like whey or hemp seeds. Step 2, consider leucine microdosing. Here's where things get exciting. If your morning protein meal falls a little short, or if you want to amplify its muscle building power, you can use leucine as a supplement. Protocolo, and add 253 grams of leucine powder, not BCAAs. Just leucine to your morning smoothie or post-breakfast water. Ideally within 30 minutes of eating, to piggyback on the protein you've already consumed. This small microdose is like turning up the volume on your muscle building signal. It tells your body, we have the building materials. Now let's start construction. Important noting: leucine works best when paired with full spectrum protein. It's not a meal replacement. It's a signal amplifier. Step 30, time light resistance movement shortly after leucine primes the system. But if you really want to lock in the signal, follow with a short activation routine, even 5 to 10 minutes. This could be a few slow squats while holding on to chair wall push-ups or counter push-ups, simple band pulls, or isometric holds. Movement increases blood flow to the muscles and amplifies MTR signaling, essentially confirming the message to build. Think of it like this: leucine sends the email, movement hits send. But what about BCAAs? You've probably seen branched chain amino acid supplements, which include leucine, isoleucine, and valine. Here's the truth: BCAAs can help, but isolated leucine is far more effective at triggering muscle growth, especially in older adults. BCAAs are more useful during prolonged exercise, not as a standalone morning protocol. If you want targeted results, go straight to leucine. Just be sure to pair it with food. Let's talk about something deceptively simple, something most people overlook because it seems too basic to matter: a short walk before breakfast. This small habit, done consistently, can profoundly impact muscle recovery, insulin sensitivity, and fat-burning hormones after age 70. Here's what's really going on inside your body. In the early morning, your body is in a fasted state. You haven't eaten for 10 or 12 hours. Your insulin levels are low and your cortisol is peaking. As it should. This hormonal state is designed to get you moving, foraging, activating. But what happens in modern life? We wake up, sit down, drink coffee, and wait a few hours to move. The cortisol stays elevated, the blood sugar stays unstable, the muscles don't receive the signal to engage, and the metabolic machinery stays sluggish. Now flip the script. If you do just 10 to 20 minutes of light movement within an hour of waking, before breakfast, you create a different hormonal cascade. Let me explain with a simple analogy. Imagine your body is like a sponge overnight, slightly dehydrated, stiff, and dry. That morning movement acts like gently squeezing and rinsing the sponge, activating the tissues, waking up circulation, and preparing the body to receive nutrients more efficiently. This is especially powerful after 70, when both insulin resistance and muscle catabolism tend to increase. Here's what the science and physiology tell us. Morning movement lowers cortisol, naturally gentle motion signals safety to the nervous system. When you walk or stretch, cortisol naturally tapers off, instead of staying high and blocking muscle repair. It improves insulin sensitivity before your first meal. Movement draws glucose into the muscles without needing insulin, a process called non-insulin mediated glucose uptake. This helps stabilize blood sugar when you do eat. It primes the muscles to receive nutrients. When your muscles are slightly depleted from movement, they become more responsive to the amino acids and leucine in your breakfast. Like a sponge that's ready to soak up nutrition, it signals mitochondria to burn fat more efficiently. Like cardio in a fasted state encourages fat oxidation, especially when insulin is low. The morning activation protocol: you don't need to run. You don't even need to sweat. What matters is gentle, a low-impact movement that engages the large muscle groups, especially the legs and hips. Here are some options: 10-15-minute brisk walk, ideally outside. For sunlight, exposure, and circadian alignment, 5-minute stair, walking indoors, gentle rebounder, bouncing. If available, simple mobility flow, arm circles, hip openers, leg swings, and standing cat, cow walking laps around your kitchen if it's raining. Yes, it still counts. The movement should feel easy but intentional, like you're waking your body up, not depleting it. Timing: aim to do this within 30 to 60 minutes of waking before your first meal or coffee. If possible, hydrate with a glass of water or pinch of sea salt before starting. Why this matters for muscle maintenance after 70G, the research is clear. Exercise sensitizes muscle to protein. When you combine even a small dose of movement with the right amount and timing of protein, especially with leucine, you significantly increase muscle protein synthesis. It's like a three-part symphony. Movement primes the muscles, protein delivers the building blocks, leucine flips the build. Switch. This natural stacking effect is especially crucial for older adults. Because our systems don't respond to nutrients as efficiently as they did at 30 or 40, we need to create the conditions for growth, and movement is a foundational part of that. Let's bust a myth while we're here. Many people over 70 are afraid of fasted cardio because they think it will cause muscle loss. That's only true if you overdo it. Long runs, intense HIIT, you're under eating protein, you're in a chronically stressed state. But gentle morning cardio followed by a high protein, leucine-rich breakfast does the opposite. It helps protect and rebuild muscle. It improves nutrient partitioning, meaning your body puts food to better use. It lowers inflammation and reboots your metabolism in a natural, sustainable way. Bonus: sync with sunlight. If you can do your morning walk outside, you get an added benefiting exposure to natural light, which enters your circadian rhythm, supports better sleep that night, and improves testosterone and melatonin cycles, both of which influence muscle health. Even 10 minutes of light exposure before 9 a.m. can have a big impact. Bottom line, muscle health isn't built just in the gym or the kitchen. It's built in the first 60 minutes of your day when your hormones, nervous system, and metabolism are all waiting for instruction. And a simple daily walk, before coffee, before breakfast, before screens, sends a powerful message: wake up, move, repair, grow. Let's zoom out. We just covered 5 powerful and practical morning habits that, when done consistently, help rebuild muscle, boost energy, and support healthy aging after 70. But more importantly, we've looked at what's really going on inside your body. Because muscle loss with age isn't inevitable, it's often a signal problem, not a supply problem. Your body still has the ability to grow, repair, and get stronger. It just needs the right instructions, delivered at the right time. Let's quickly recap the 5 habits and the science behind thing. Wake up with protein, not just coffee. A high-protein breakfast with at least 30 grams helps signal muscle growth, stabilize blood sugar, and avoid the cortisol spike that breaks down muscle. Eat within 90 minutes of waking. Timing matters. Delayed meals increase cortisol and decrease muscle protein synthesis. Start the repair process early. Use leucine to flip the muscle switch. Aim for 253 grams of leucine in your first meal from foods or supplements to activate MTR and overcome anabolic resistance. Add a small dose of morning movement. Even 10 minutes of walking before breakfast increases insulin sensitivity and primes the muscles to absorb protein more effectively. Stack these together as a ritual. When you combine these steps, movement, protein, leucine, and timing, they amplify one another. It's not just about doing more. It's about doing things in the right sequence. So here's simple science-backed morning routine to rebuild muscle after 70 G. Within 360 minutes of waking, drink water with a pinch of sea salt. Do 10 minutes of light movement. Walking, mobility, or gentle cardio. Eat a protein-rich breakfast on 30 plus grams, including eggs, fish, cottage cheese, or a protein shake. Include at least 2.5 grams of leucine from food or a supplement. Take a short walk, again optional, 230 minutes after breakfast to further support insulin and digestion. That's it. Simple, doable, and deeply effective. This routine doesn't require a gym. It doesn't require hours of your day, but it does require consistency. Muscle isn't rebuilt in a single workout. It's rebuilt through repeated, intentional choices that tell your body, you're safe, you're strong. It's time to grow. So here's my challenge to you. Try this routine for just 5 days. Not forever, just 5 mornings in a row. Track how you feel. Energy, appetite, strength, focus. Because once your body starts responding, and you'll realize this isn't about anti-aging, it's about pro-living. And if you found this helpful, make sure to like this video and subscribe to join others who are rebuilding their health naturally, one root cause at a time. We break down functional medicine, metabolic health, and aging science into real tools you can use daily. No fluff, no fads. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.